can't get anything to last 40 years anymore. Well, as you can see, squash are looking pretty good. Got some blooms. I know I saw, yeah, there's a small one, and there's the zucchini here. It's pretty much growing together in the middle of the rows. Cucumbers, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if that's a little fertilizer burn going on there, or if that's something else. Not sure. I'm getting ready to hit everything with Immunox again, so maybe I can keep it under control. Tomatoes doing pretty good. Got some blooms. There's a few small ones down in there, hiding up in there. Tomatoes are my favorite thing to grow, and they're also what I have the most trouble with. Peppers are looking pretty strong. Okra coming up and doing all right. Corn is doing fair. Not doing great, but it's not doing too bad either. I just side dressed that with nitrate, so it'll really start kicking off here in a few days. More squash. I don't remember if this is the patty pan or the yellow. It's one or the other. Cabbages about ready. A couple of them could be picked, and so this right here will either be the, whichever one that one down there isn't. This is either the yellow or the patty pan. So more peppers. Now these are sweet bell peppers down here. Those are all jalapeno peppers. And the potatoes there are red Pontiacs. I'm gonna probably dig a few of those here in just a few minutes. Dig up enough for a mess or two anyway. I know there's some under there. I can see the ground bulging and cracking under them. So one of my next chores is going to be to attack this wheatgrass that's growing up out of my mulch. These German Johnsons that I planted yesterday, replacing a couple tomato plants that I lost. I don't know what happened to them. I think they just, the stem got broken from the wind. So this wheatgrass, I'm getting ready to go on it. I don't know if I'm going to spray it with a weed killer or vinegar, but I'm going on it with something. It's got to come out of there. So it's not looking too bad. I've had worse and I've had better. Well, as you can see, the garden is not looking too bad out there. It's looking better than it did the last couple of years for most things out there. We've had crazy weather, multiple nights in the 40s during April, and even last week we had 2 nights it was down in the 40s again. And I know that slows things down a little bit, especially that okra. Okra is growing really slow. I'm hoping it'll come on out and get busy. Corn, it's a little sketchy out there with the corn, and I generally have a real good crop of corn when I grow it. I haven't grown any since 2017, So we'll see how that turns out. I side dressed it with nitrogen today, 33%. Generally try to do that when it gets about knee high. So, you know, I plowed everything this morning. I dug probably about 8 or 10 hills of potatoes and ended up with about a half a bushel, half a 5-gallon bucket full. Nice new potatoes, we call them. So I cut several cabbages that were ready. They're not the biggest cabbages I've ever grown. Generally my cabbages are huge, but these are just average, but that's fine. And so I went through and I sprayed everything with Immunox after I got through with all that, and I'm hoping that my tomatoes will come through for me this year. I've had terrible luck with tomatoes the last several years, and so I'm trying to be vigilant. Almost every week they get hit with something. Every week or 10 days I'm hitting them with something. They've been hit with the 3-way, they've been hit with Immunox. This is the second time with the Immunox. They've been hit with the aspirin and baking soda. So I'm just hoping. The squash, the last 2 or 3 years, my squash, they wouldn't be this big, the whole plant. They'd start blooming as soon as I put them in the ground, get a little bitty squash on them, and they would rot, just nothing. And then, but this year, the squash they're looking pretty spiffy out there. They're about half the size of some that I've grown in the past, but they're still growing. And there's a lot of blooms on them, and there's some small squash in there. I've got zucchini white patty pans and yellow straight neck out there, and they all look like they're going to do pretty good. So hopefully we'll get some squash out of there. Cucumbers, they're looking, I don't know how they're looking. They got some yellow and some brown on them already. And last year what they did is the vines grew really quick, but then just like that, they turned yellow and browned up and they were just dead out there. And I had some planted over in my raised bed, and the vines did fabulous over there in the raised bed, which leads me to believe I got some soil-borne disease over here maybe. But the vines did great in the raised bed, but the worms ate every cucumber that I could grow on there. I didn't get a half a dozen out of there. So I got one tomato plant over there in a bale that I bought from Lowe's Home Improvement. I'm probably gonna have to yank it up pretty soon. I just sprayed it really good with that Immunox, and I'll watch it the next 2 or 3 days, but it looks diseased really bad. So I'm gonna get it out of there. So we'll see what it does. This has been, I'd have to look at the dates. I don't remember exactly if it's been 3 weeks or 4 weeks since I did the last video on the garden, but you can see the growth I've had in that amount of time, so between the 2 videos. So I'll probably do another one in 2 or 3 weeks, and we'll see where we are. So there you go.